When you think of Vikings, you probably picture warriors with long ships slicing through icy seas, landing on foreign shores, and carrying treasure back home. But here's the strange part. The greatest Viking raid didn't happen 1,000 years ago. It happened in the modern era. And there were no swords. No sails. There was oil. Norway didn't sail to other lands to plunder wealth. It found its riches beneath its own waters, black gold, deep under the North Sea. And it did something most countries fail to do. It stayed calm. Welcome to Finance and Economics Historian. This is where money, power, and history intersect. And here, nothing is ever as simple as it looks. Before oil, Norway was not a rich country. Not even close. In the early 1900s, it was a small nation surviving on fishing, shipping, and hard labor. People endured long winters and sent their sons out to sea. Even after gaining independence from Sweden in 1905, Norway remained one of the poorest countries in Western Europe. No one living in 1950 could have predicted what was coming. Then, in the 1960s, everything changed. Oil was discovered beneath the North Sea. And in 1969, the Ekofisk field was found, one of the largest oil fields in the world. For a country with only a few million people, it was astonishing. It felt as if a treasure chest had been opened beneath the sea. But Norway knew how this usually ends. Oil doesn't just make countries rich. More often, it destroys them from within. Easy money feeds corruption, overheats economies, and wipes out real production. Venezuela, Nigeria, and many others learned this lesson the hard way. Norway chose a different path. Instead of spending fast, it built rules. It created a state-owned company to keep oil under control. It heavily taxed oil profits so the wealth belonged to everyone, not just a few. And most importantly, it asked a question few ever do. What happens when the oil runs out? That question changed everything. In 1990, Norway created a fund where all oil revenues would flow. The rule was simple: the government could spend only a small portion of it each year. The rest would be invested patiently, globally, and transparently. This was not a piggy bank. It was a long-term plan. Year by year, the fund grew. Slowly at first. Then faster. And today, it has become the world's largest sovereign wealth fund, worth over $1 trillion. That means something remarkable. On paper, every Norwegian citizen owns a share worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the real secret wasn't oil. The real secret was restraint. When oil prices rose, Norway didn't become reckless. In good times, it never forgot that bad times could return. It stayed loyal to its rules, even when breaking them would have been popular. And those rules worked. The economy remained stable. Inflation stayed under control. Future generations were protected from the greed of the present. Norway also made the fund transparent. Anyone can see where the money is invested. Companies that violate human rights or destroy the environment are excluded. When compared to countries where oil wealth disappeared into corruption, the difference is clear. Norway didn't turn oil into luxury. It turned it into independence. When crises hit, the 2008 financial crash, the pandemic, Norway didn't panic or drown in debt. Instead, it used the reserves it had built over decades. That is real power. The lesson of this story is simple. Wealth is not about what you find. It's about how much you keep, and how well you manage it. The Vikings of the past raided and spent. Their descendants saved and invested. And that discipline created one of the greatest stores of real wealth in history. The oil beneath the North Sea could have been a curse. But rules turned it into a blessing. Because in the end, money follows patterns. Most people, and most nations, spend everything they touch. Norway didn't. And that's why the modern Vikings today are far richer than their ancestors ever imagined.